Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Well, just last night, I did a reading about how the US, capitalists, you're either a capitalist or you're a communist, and nowadays, or you're a fascist and a far leftist. However, they mean the same things. And I looked at how the capitalists could, you know, defeat the far left communists. Whenever you hear far left, think communists. That's what it is, and I'm gonna prove it yet again today. So I did that the video last night, and I was looking at it some more, and I realized that one of the reasons why the communist far left are getting so far is because the capitalists don't even realize what's going on, because there's so much confusion between the double speak and between the lies they're being fed through the mainstream media and some far right pundits who don't really know what's going on to understand it. And that's why I highly recommend, again, Caroline Borisenko. So she was just on Dr. Drew, is what inspired me to do last night's video. But then today, this morning, boom, this article shows up. So again, the same topic coming up. So I want to do a similar reading for the UK that I just did for the US last night. So today it came out that Britain's far left communists just stole an election through the Muslim voter fraud, and even leftist media is admitting it. So this is why they want to keep the illegal immigrants, because they want the extra votes for them so they can take over the country through the political system, okay? And it's been very successful in the UK, and they're doing a lot of it in the US, and that's why you see these attacks on ICE, because they want to keep them here. They want those votes. That's what they're not telling you. They're gonna lie to you, say, "Oh no, ICE! Oh, they're so horrible. They're murdering us." Oh, no. They have been aggressively attacking ICE, and when ICE defends themselves, of course, when they see somebody like pretty coming at them with a gun, yeah, they're going to use lethal force. They're asking for it, and then the leftist communists are lying and saying, "Oh, they're such a victim." So it's the same, lies over and over in different ways. So now in UK, their communist party they're calling it Britain's far left Green Party. So again, communists, has defeated Nigel Farage's Reform Party in a Manchester special election marred by Muslim voter fraud. So they go on how they stole the election through family voting. And what I want to point out here is that shortly after the polls closed, reports emerged that the Greens may have benefited from so-called family voting in heavy Muslim areas. And here in this article, UK Green Party adopts banning landlords as official policy, declares renting property as, quote, intrinsically exploitative. So you're saying, wait a minute, why are they banning landlords? Why is the far left banning landlords? Because communism wants to eradicate private property. And again, once again, it's an example. Caroline Borisenko wrote this article a year ago, or 2 years ago now, February 2024. Says, Woke 101, things you'll lose if the left wins. They want to abolish capitalism and private property. But what does that mean? And so she repeats this again and again in many of her articles. This one's not the best formatted, this version of it from her Substack. For some reason, my browser doesn't show up so well, but hopefully you can see it. So capitalism for the left communist is defined explicitly as private property ownership, and that is what they seek to abolish. But what does that mean, and how will it impact you? So she gives a list: your land, your house. You're not allowed to own that anymore. Your apartment buildings as landlords, they want to get rid of that. You can't rent out. They want to get rid of your private kitchen. They want everybody eating from the same, government-owned, place, cafeteria. You can't own your own private business. You can't own your own copyright information, anything that with your own children. They want to take away parental rights. They believe children should belong to the government. It's all communism. And so the Greens are a communist party, and they're pushing the anti-private property, and they're using the illegal immigrants to illegally win the votes to get in. And so basically it's a fall into communism, and so just making that clear to people who may be not seeing it so clearly, that this is what's actually going on. This is a Mao revolution, basically, in the UK and Europe and in the United States. So that's because this article just came up today, I thought, and this is what they're trying to do in the United States as well. I thought, since I've already read on how the United States can defeat far left communists, I wanted to look at how the UK people, the UK capitalists, could defeat the communists in the UK. So that is what my reading is about, for entertainment purposes only. And for the certificator card, of course, I'm using the Emperor again. I'm using the Golden Nouveau Tarot, because this is about the government. It's all about who's going to be in charge, the communists or the capitalists, or how they put it, the fascists versus the far left. If you're a capitalist, you're a fascist. How dare you want to own your own private property? How dare you think that you're in control of your children? How dare you? Greta Thunberg is a perfect example of the communist far left mindset there. Very, oppressive and annoying and complaining and playing the victim all the time. How dare you? Really awful mindset and group that you do not want in charge, just for sure, in my opinion. Anyways, let's see. How is it going in the UK? Does the UK now didn't look very good in the US, I gotta tell you, because a lot of people haven't woken up yet to what the woke is really all about. So that's like job number one here. But I'm wondering in the UK what needs to be done and what can be done, if anything, because they've got Starmer in charge, and who's pushing this communist agenda with his globalist connections there. And he's still in power. And so it really looks like, is it too late? Is there a chance? Can the capitalists in the UK turn things around? Because things are not going well, judging by today's article. I gotta tell you. So let's see, how is it in the UK? What can citizens, capitalists in the United Kingdom, want to keep their country the way it is, not fall to communism? How can they defeat the communists or far left? How can they defeat them? What's the current situation there? What do they have going for them? What do they need to change? Now you know why Starmer is censoring any back talk about the illegal immigration. Because again, they want the votes, and they don't want people making it a widespread issue that the average person will be alert to, right? They say, oh, no, like Harry and Meghan are supporting the refugees. They're supporting the illegal voters coming in so they can take over their communist buddies there. That's what it's all about. Meghan doesn't give a damn about refugees. You saw how she barely even interacts with them. She thinks she's above everybody. She can't be bothered. So it's like such a scam. The whole thing is such a sham. Let's see, back to the UK. What is the UK? What's the current situation there for British? What's the general situation? What do they have going for them that they can use? Defeat the communist Green Party there. What do they need to change? What do they have going for them? Their secret weapon. What do they need the courage to do? How do they go about doing that? What does the average citizen need? What do others need? What is being secret from them, or what they have not considered yet? What are they aspiring to, or their hopes right now, the situation? And if they do everything advised, could they do it? Can they overcome and defeat the left communist Greens? What will the result of that be? And what do they have to sacrifice? Or what hidden enemies do they have to contend with? All right, I think I've shuffled enough. So I'm going to split the deck. What does the UK need to do? The capitalist fascists of the UK to not lose their country and their way of life. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so starting out, the current situation going on. Ooh, promising there. I got the High Priestess. Major Arcana upright. So already they're in a much better position than Americans. Because most Americans, I think, just don't know what's going on. And we're being taken out. And I just also read today that in Minnesota, Target, the corporation Target, just shut down. They didn't just shut down. They shut down after George Floyd riots in Minnesota that ruined the city. But so Target wanted to get the hell out of Dodge because they're constantly, these leftist communists are going in there and stealing from them and protesting them and making all kinds of crazy demands. And so Target paid $110 million just to cut their lease with Minnesota. Target was like, they had a lease that didn't end until 2031, but they didn't want to wait. They're like, you know what? We want out now. We can't stand these communist leftists anymore. And they actually paid that. And this is what Mamdani in New York City is doing. He's like, any company that wants to leave, you're going to have to pay a huge amount of money. So now in the reading I did last night with the U.S. and the communists, I had 10 of Swords here, which is like, we're just getting attacked and cancel cultured and just murdered, literally, in some cases. And here in the UK, it's interesting with the High Priestess. I'm getting a lot of, you look at this a couple of ways, but it seems that there's a lot going on that's underground, and that people are more aware, at least than here anyways, with the situation going on there. Of course, it's much worse there in the censorship, and that may be why I'm getting the High Priestess, which there's usually things hidden and secrets. I mean, you can't do anything online, right? You post the wrong tweets and you've got a visit from the police, right? So that's why I'm getting that more activities, or people are being more secretive about the situation and how they communicate it and deal with it and confront it. They obviously can't be as outspoken or online and whatnot as because it is very much being censored and people are being attacked. So what do they have going for them? Ooh, very good. Page of Coins. I think the UK, believe it or not, is already starting out much better footing than the US. They have the information. I mean, it is a page. It's not a major arcana, but they know what's what. They know what's going on. They know what they need to do to fix it. So although they may be censored and being attacked for their opinions online, everyone knows what's what and communicating in many ways, and their young people are not as supportive. I think they don't have so many, because here it's like the communists took over. I mean, I think they took over the school system in the UK too, but it seems like I don't think that they have such a problem of brainwashed high schoolers, like teenagers, like we have here. It seems, I don't know, it's the way it seems to me right now. But they think they have a lot of good information and knowledge, and they know what to do. They know what's what and what to do about it. So, and they are doing everything they can in an intelligent way and getting the word out with everyone. So what needs to change from what they're doing? Ooh, 5 of Coins. So this could be seen as like the refugees now, but also I have them standing in front of a church. So it could be that they need to either keep funding from refugees. You could look at it that way. They need to be stop financially supporting groups or people who are causing the destruction of the UK, and also to assert their religious beliefs. And because there is a lack of respect, it seems, for Christianity there seems to be like they're putting Christianity down more. And here in the US, Don Lemon and everything invaded a church and interrupted a church service, and they're all getting arrested now, thank goodness. That wouldn't have happened under Biden, right? So I do think that asserting religious rights and respect because I've noticed in the UK, I've heard that they're not celebrating officially certain Christian holidays they normally do. So they need to kind of push back on that as well, and not allowed to be, disrespected and to be treated badly with the main religion of the country for other religions. So that needs to be something there. Intending also to, but at the same time helping, when they can with their own people, figure out their own way to help each other, members of their group that need help. What secret source of power did the UK have? Oh, Queen of Coins reversed. So there is a dysfunction here. I see the Queen in this kind of situation as domestic financial affairs. A lot of what needs to be addressed, perhaps, or dealt with is corruption in the system, and also the fact that BlackRock has been funding all these illegal immigrants coming in, and that kind of issues that's working against them. So I'm seeing that there is a major hurdle here in the fact that the battle is really against these multi-trillionaires who are orchestrating a lot of this. So dealing with the lack of resources that the enemy has at their disposal and having that disadvantage is going to be something that is going to always be a hindrance to preventing their country from falling to communism. So more of a challenge rather than a secret strength, really, but focusing on that. But also I think that the fact that they need to make others aware they're not of this, the fact that they are battling a Goliath, So yeah, so as that goes, so what do they need the courage to do? Star reverse. This is what you need the courage to do. So support women because they are attacking women's rights and girls in particular. As we all know, you're hearing about the grooming gangs and all of that. So that needs to be something that needs to be kept in the focus, as well as the Epstein connections, and keeping these things well in the public discourse, well publicized when possible, in whatever way that is possible without getting arrested. But also there needs to be flexibility in goals. This is also about goals as well. So sort of being flexible in what you're aiming for, whatever the particular goal is in one situation to the next, being flexible with that and changing when necessary. In other words, not getting stuck on just one thing, but adapting, changing course when needed more. Now, what details to do this? Ooh, I get the Knight of Cups reversed. So you get the Knight, we get the Warrior, the Soldier, secret attacks going on here. So there is a necessary that whatever moves you make to attack communism, You're going to have to be, because of the oppression and the censorship, you do need to be, and the fact that they want to, they want to track everyone and not. I heard recently that Starmer doesn't want to allow VPNs. He doesn't no anonymity. They don't want any anonymity online. So you've got to be really stealthy in their activities in defeating the communists with everything they do. Whatever they do to fight back against this communist takeover, they're going to have to be very secretive about it as possible to avoid Starmer coming after them. Because the communists are in charge, basically, and they are going to take you out one way or another, disappear you. So you got to be very, very stealthy with what you're working on. And I do get a lot of stealthiness and secretiveness in general in this reading that helps them in that starting out with the High Priestess, keeping hidden, doing things as secretively as possible, and to keep everyone safe. So what do others need in this? Oh, I get 7 of Cups. 7 of Cups. So others need to be, again, any confusion, addressing confusions that some may have. And also, I see the 7 as an internet card as well. I often, see this as different platforms, different posting things online. So I do get that fighting for that as well, or trying to reach people when possible through covert means. Being very online, still communicating that way, but doing it in a way that's, of course, not going to get you in trouble. So I do get that communicating online, even if it is treacherous, is something that still is needed to keep morale up and to communicate and to encourage people, and draw more attention and support. So what is secret from or unknown, or they haven't considered in the UK about it? And I get 5 of Wands reversed. So here a lot of, we can look at this as a lot of disagreements that are not being, or a lot of bullying and coercing and threatening that's going on, that's not being viewed or known by the average citizen. So whether it's in government or even infighting amongst the communists, I don't think they're all kumbaya together either, but I don't think that, I can't imagine that they're using these immigrants that they've just brought in and using them for votes. Well, they're going to want, they're going to have expectations in return and be saying, okay, we voted for you, now give us, more money, or give us this or that. So there's a lot of, bullying and fighting with, you can see behind, that's not being, that's behind closed doors. That needs to be addressed, that needs to be looked into, that needs to be focused on more, because it seems like it's not being well known exactly these dynamics going on that are being hidden. For example, whether it's the communists and the illegal immigrants arrangement they have, which has to be contentious at best, or something else, but there's some battling going on and bullying and pushing around that needs to be, that hasn't gotten enough attention, and that more people need to be aware of. I see there. So what are the UK, what is their hopes and dreams here? Look at that, 10 of Cups. So they are very hopeful of getting things back to normal. I see the 10 of Cups often as the royal card, just excessive happiness and ideal, national identity, and just, the picture of perfect life. Everybody's, looks perfect, happy, beautiful country. They want that back, and they know they can get it. And so they're very high expectations, unlike unfortunately, like I said last night, I was looking at this reading for the US, and wasn't as good there because I think it's because so many people in the U.S. are confused about what the far left is actually doing and what they're about. And the fact that it's just communism. But the UK is not confused about it at all. They really know what they want, they know what to get, and they just have to be much more stealthy and secretive. And they have to deprive funds from projects and people and organizations that are destroying their country. So I think a lot of financial considerations and practical, type of situations that will help them, addressing them will help them to defeat the communists there. So what is the end goal? Can they do it? Can they overcome this Green Party? Wah, wah. I get the Nine of Cups reversed. Well, this party is one that's been, I guess, around a long time. So then you're not totally going to defeat them, but you can make some headway there as far as taking out some of the more arrogant ones like Starmer and the other, I see this like kind of, you can see this like a fat, lazy globalism reversed is like fat, lazy, and arrogant, and kind of like a George Soros type of vibe there. So I do think that, you're not going to be able to eradicate them completely, but you can. It's like wish not come true, unfortunately. So it's not going to be as good as hoped, which with the hopes are high with a 10 of Cups. So I get that, the expectations are very high, but the results are going to be very disappointing with the way, things go. But let's see what's the end result of that. I get 10 of Wands reversed. So you can see this is a high unemployment. You can see people losing their stability, their work, and giving up. I think some people may just give up if they're, things get a little too rough. Too many people get arrested for tweets or whatnot. So I do think that if things don't turn out the way they expect, there could be more disappointment. And it would lose, a lot of people would lose their, ability to earn and lose positions in power and whatnot. So it could be devastating, and they could lose everything with 10 of Wands reversed. So what's the secret enemy, or what needs to be sacrificed? Ooh, I get King of Wands. Secret enemy, I think whenever I see that, I think of Prince Harry, to be honest with you. But also you could say the media is an enemy of the people. The media is not on your side. They're on the communist side. Controlled by the globalists, I always say. And it could talk about having to, sacrifice using social media or, media in general from, just using it and yourself, giving up the cell phones and whatnot because of this oppression they're bringing in via these ways. So it's gonna be rough, and unfortunately, I'm not, unless things are become more addressing these issues that need to be addressed. Again, changing the goals and fighting it for the women and girls, and at the same time having to be as stealthy as the enemy is in order to get anywhere in this battle. It's not going to be a happy ending. And so I think also not being too overconfident that you'll get everything back right away, because there's the entrenchment and the funds behind these people, and the backing they have is enormous. So yeah, there needs to be more clearness of, I get with these reversed that there's not clearness to the steps you gotta take. There needs to be more defined plan of action, strategy, rather than just attacking here randomly and something else comes up, not reacting to things that they do, but actually implementing more organization from without reacting to them, but your own initiating your own actions that they don't expect, So there does need to be more scheming and plotting and planning here. I have to say more action in that direction. So more action rather than reaction, because you do know what to do with the page of coins here. It shows that you do have the information you need to reach your goal of defeating the left. Maybe not entirely, but at least defeating them from taking completely over. But at the same time, you have to act on that and not in a clear, military style way. Just having a plan of action here. That it needs to be enforced more clearly, and people need to have a goal to reach and know what to do, because I think right now there's sort of this muddiness of, well, what do I do exactly, and how to get the word out and get people unified as covertly as possible. I think that's the main challenge here in order to achieve the goal and not be too confident, for sure, and to find, if possible, workarounds. Because another thing the left is doing, like Starmer, is trying to make tax the citizens more, make them pay more for energy, like really trying to deprive them of their finances, right? Because the poorer you are, then you can't fight back because you don't have any extra money to drive anywhere or do anything. So finding alternate ways of income or doing things that in a way that doesn't cost so much money, that's going to be a main struggle, a main hurdle, because when you have the enemy in charge and they're taxing the hell out of you, you're not going to, it's more of a challenge to get things done. So that's another hurdle. And what needs to change here is, so fighting for, or against these higher taxes and against these oppressive financial burdens being inflicted upon by the communist Starmer. So fighting against that needs to be a focus, as well, dealing with that in order to be able to keep your country and keep your way of life and keep from being taken over by these communists. So so that is what I'm seeing completely here, completely destroy everything, because they are working hard on it. So there you have it. It's still kind of a bit grim here at the end. Nobody's happy at the end of this. I got 5 of Cups with the U.S. and I'm getting 9 of Cups reversed here. So nobody is walking away from this unscathed in the West. The damage is severe and not going to be easily turned around at the end of the day. It is going to be, it's just going to get uglier, and, it's not going to be an easy win, and it's going to be all, very painful situation. But, as Dr. Zelenko used to say, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And that's the expression, if I'm getting that right. Yeah, because that's what we're up against all over. So that's what I see here. But you're in a very powerful position with the, again, major arcana for the people. I mean, you know what to do. You have very powerful people here and groups to get it done. I think that's the only thing to worry about, is just not being overconfident and not allowing the communists deplete your funds and source of incomes, destroy your businesses as they're wont to do, to weaken you. So that needs to be a focus for sure. All right, so that is what I see here for how the UK fascists can fight off the communists' Green Party. So I hope you found this interesting. If so, please like and subscribe. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye bye.